Raw on Monday night was hardly the epic show that Triple H promised after Survivor Series. Still a solid show. I enjoyed it, but why he feels the need to exaggerate like that, I don't know. CM Punk was not there. They claimed that he was not medically cleared coming out of War Games, but the real reason is because Larry the Dog passed away. I didn't even realize it at the time. He came out at Survivor Series wearing a Larry's dad jacket, knowing that Larry had just died, and then he had to go out there and put his game face on like that is really sad. Because when you really go back and look, he does look very depressed almost. He looks very sad. I don't know exactly when Larry died, if it was the day before, if it was earlier that week. I have no idea. But, you know, if you've ever lost a pet, you know what that pain is like. It's like losing a member of the family because they are members of the family. And anyone who says otherwise, I feel sorry for you that you've gone through life without ever knowing what that bond is like. I don't know how old Larry was, but I know Punk and AJ adopted him from the Paws Rescue in Chicago about 11 years ago. Paws is a no-kill shelter. They named him Larry after Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman. If you saw Larry and his teeth sticking out of his mouth, you could see the resemblance between him and the Wolfman from the movies. But, you know, it was tough to find Larry a home because a lot of people didn't want to deal with the challenges that he presented, or maybe they felt that they couldn't care for him. I don't know. But Punk has said that as soon as they saw Larry, they knew they had to adopt him. And Punk announced the news on Instagram. He said, "The grief that we carry is the price we pay for unconditional love. Our little Larry crossed the rainbow bridge, wrapped tightly in our arms. He was safe and happy, surrounded by love. We rescued Larry in February of 2015, and he changed our lives. I could never in 1,000,000 years find the words to properly express how much we loved him, nor how much joy he brought us. Nothing I write, no pictures I post would do him justice. He lived a long, amazing life. He watched sunsets. He chased skateboards. He made everywhere we went with him home. What a privilege to be so heartbroken and devastated for having experienced such a bond. I wouldn't change anything. Our boy is at rest. The house is quiet, but we still hear the jingle of his necklace and the tip-taps of his little feet on the hardwood floors. He will always be near. We will always feel him. Our hearts are broken. Until we see you again, we love you forever." In September, Punk said Larry had recently gone in for a surgery of some kind and that he had been driving to the shows with him in a stroller because flights became too much for him. He was a big hit whenever Punk would bring him backstage at WWE shows. And of course, Larry was also part of what will go down as one of the more infamous nights in wrestling history, that being Brawl Out in AEW, where depending on which version of events you believe, he was either whisked away to safety by Kenny Omega when shit hit the fan, or that he was injured in the chaos and had 2 teeth knocked loose, which then later had to be removed. I guess both of those things could be true. So Larry is forever part of wrestling history. He may have been forced to sign an NDA too, so we'll never know the real story. Punk may not have been there, but Bron Breakker was on Monday night, and he cut the promo of his life after it was announced that he will be getting a World Heavyweight Championship match with CM Punk on the very first Raw of the new year. That'll be on January 5th. It's not anything that's going to make, any top 10 all-time promo lists or anything like that, but for Bron Breakker, he needed something like that, like what we saw on Monday night. This is the Bron Breakker that I was hoping to see more of and hear from after he took out Seth Rollins. And they did not reveal the identity of the mystery man who interfered in War Games, which was Austin Theory, by the way, under the mask. It could end up being someone else by the time they do the reveal. I know there's a lot of people now after what happened last night with Ricky Saints losing his NXT championship saying, oh, it's going to be Ricky. It could be. If WWE wanted to swerve people and they thought, hey, it's too obvious that it's going to be Austin Theory, then sure. And what a way to fuck over Austin Theory, who was supposed to originally be in War Games, supposedly. So that didn't happen. And then they put him under the mask, and then if they end up subbing somebody else for him, I feel sorry for the guy. But it was him under the mask. Can you imagine, though, if it ends up being like Chris Jericho, because they end up dragging this thing out long enough for his contract with AEW to expire, and they have him take Seth's spot as like the veteran leader of the group? It would be like a new learning tree. Thanks, I hate it. Actually, you know what? It would feel fresh for a little while because he hasn't worked there for so long. And plus, I don't think I've ever seen him and Paul Heyman working together on screen before. I mean, he worked for Heyman in ECW, but I think that's the only interaction they've ever really had. It's going to be theory, though. At this point, they may as well save the reveal for that first Raw of the new year. And if they do, it should be to help Bron Breakker beat CM Punk to win the World Heavyweight Championship. WrestleVotes Radio had a report that Bron Breakker's name has emerged as the current whiteboard favorite to win the Royal Rumble. The whiteboard, of course, being if you watched WWE Unreal on Netflix, where they write in their creative plans on an actual whiteboard. So as of right now, the whiteboard favorite is Bron Breakker. And look, I would not have a problem with Bron Breakker winning the Royal Rumble, right? There'd be somebody new who's never won the Rumble before. Clearly, he's someone who they are banking on to be, if not their biggest star, one of their top 3 biggest stars to carry the company over the next decade. So I don't have an issue with him winning the Rumble, but that would mean that he's not winning the championship on the 5th. If Breakker does not win the title and he wins the Rumble instead, I would much rather CM Punk lose the title to someone else before WrestleMania, because I'm not feeling it if they just run Punk and Breakker back a second time as a WrestleMania main event, like a night 1 main event. I'm not feeling that. So here is the only scenario, okay, in which I would be in favor of putting a belt back on Roman Reigns, which is not by no means a long-term solution here. But this is the only scenario in which I would accept this. Punk keeps the title, January 5th. Bron Breakker wins the Royal Rumble. Punk drops the title to Roman Reigns instead. I don't care when. It could be at the Rumble, it could be the Chamber, whenever. Punk drops the title to Roman Reigns. Bron Breakker then chooses Roman. And we finally get the Roman Reigns-Bron Breakker match that they've been avoiding doing. But you do it at WrestleMania, with Bron Breakker beating Roman Reigns to win the World Championship. Then you could have CM Punk win the Elimination Chamber in Chicago, in which case you'd have to do Punk and Roman, I guess, before then. But you could have Punk win the Elimination Chamber and he challenges Cody for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania in the other main event. I know there's been a lot of talk about WWE wanting to do Cody and Roman 3 at WrestleMania. Now Meltzer's saying, well, it doesn't have to be at WrestleMania. Maybe it's not at WrestleMania, but they definitely want to do Cody and Roman 3. But man, I don't want to see that. As great as those first 2 matches were, I don't know how you top that. I think it's too soon. Even Cody, I don't remember where he was interviewed this week, but he was asked about it. And even Cody said, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he was talking like he would rather not. Like he just feels it would be very difficult to go right back to that, after the body of work that they just put together. Now, if Cody was going to go heel at the end of that match, that makes things more interesting coming out of WrestleMania, not necessarily going into WrestleMania. But you could do the same thing with Cody and Punk. If you wanted Cody to go heel, he can go heel at the end of it to keep his championship. Then you have Punk chasing Cody for a while for the title over on SmackDown. Randy Orton could chase Cody, but with Randy as the face and Cody as the heel. And then eventually you could work a younger face in there who could be the one to actually take the belt from Cody. You just need to make sure, like if you're going to turn Cody heel, and I said the same thing last year, or this year rather, if you're going to turn Cody heel, you have to have that top babyface who's going to be there every single week who can step into the man's shoes. The idea of turning Cody heel this year was insane to me. Like it just wasn't the right time for it. I don't care how much the people, some fans on social media wanted to see it. The Rock wanted to turn Cody heel. It would have been ridiculous at the beginning of 2025 to turn Cody Rhodes heel. I am more open to it next year. And you don't need The Rock to do it. But man, Cody's got that Wheatley sponsorship. He's got his own podcast that they plug every week. I don't know that they want to do that. I don't know that they want to turn him. I see a lot of increased chatter lately about Cody turning heel. And I myself am more open to the idea. That doesn't mean WWE is. Because he's doing all of these different corporate things. And it would just be weird if he turned heel. I guess it depends what kind of heel he would be. He could still be corporate. Corporate Cody, maybe that's the play, for him being the heel. But creatively, I just think it could be a lot of fun. It just wasn't the right time to do it this year. Next year, I think you could definitely do it. Speaking of Cody, on the other side of things, you've got Drew McIntyre, who is still suspended on SmackDown, but Cody went after him when he showed up on Friday. Nick Aldis was like, nah, I don't think so. You're still suspended. You did your War Games thing, but you're still suspended. Get the hell out of here. Cody attacked Drew. He had to be pulled off of him. And then Cody goes out to the ring and he is begging Nick Aldis to reinstate Drew McIntyre. Cody Rhodes is also going to be wrestling next weekend on Saturday night's main event because they had a segment where Cody and Aldis later in the show, they confronted Ricky Saints and Obafemi backstage. They were summoned to SmackDown. And the two of them were scheduled to have an NXT Championship match at Deadline last night. And Cody told them, whoever wins that match, whoever walks out as the NXT champion, you're getting me at Saturday night's main event, because this was John Cena's whole thing. He wants there to be a series of NXT exhibitions, right, against WWE main roster talents. Don't get no bigger than the WWE champion. So all of a sudden, it wasn't just the NXT championship on the line last night, right? The stakes just got upped in a major way because the winner of that match was going to have this prime spot against one of the top stars in the company, arguably the top champion in the company, on what is going to be one of the most talked about shows of the entire year. And now we know that that person that Cody is going to be wrestling next Saturday is going to be Obafemi, who won back the NXT championship last night from Ricky Saints. I love it. I thought Ricky was holding on to that title, though, at Deadline, and that he was going to be the one fighting Cody, but they put the belt back on Oba, which I was against only because that would mean, to me anyway, that would mean that he is not main roster bound yet. And he should be. But then Javon Evans won the Iron Survivor Challenge last night, which means that Javon Evans is facing Oba for the NXT Championship at New Year's Evil. Although he made a very weird comment in a backstage segment last night with Ricky. You know, Ricky was all down about losing the belt, and Javon was trying to cheer him up. And Javon made this comment about, I'm not waiting for New Year's Evil. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's going to ask for his title shot on TV this week, but right now, that is the scheduled NXT Championship match for New Year's Evil. And if they stick to that, I think there's a very good chance that Javon Evans is going to win the belt there. He has never beaten Obafemi before. He lost to him at Stand and Deliver. I think it was a triple threat. Then he lost to him one-on-one in August back at Heatwave. I say put the belt on Javon and debut Oba in the Royal Rumble. I think this is the way. But what a way to debut Oba on the main roster against the WWE champion. And I know everyone's like, oh, Oba's got to win. Oba should beat Cody. It's the perfect spot for a Drew McIntyre run-in to screw it all up, because you don't actually think that we're going to get a clean winner in that one, do you? I mean, sure, Oba beating Cody sounds great, but I'm fully expecting Drew McIntyre to make an appearance. I think McIntyre then gets reinstated in time to challenge Cody for the championship on the first SmackDown of 2026. I think it's January 2nd. And at that point, it just becomes pick your poison. If you can only choose one, which title would you prefer to see switch hands that week? Because they're not going to do both. They may not do either one of them, but they're not doing both. We got a WWE Championship match if they do this, and they already have a World Heavyweight Championship match scheduled. Of the two, if I had to choose, I would rather it be Drew, just because there is literally no other reason to run that match back again, if not to put the title finally on Drew McIntyre. And then it's just a question of how long he holds on to it, because I don't see him going into WrestleMania as the champion. It's like Kevin Owens this year, right? They could have put the belt on him in that Saturday night's main event match a year ago. It was in December of last year. And they could have let him hold it until the Rumble and then drop it back to Cody in the ladder match. Instead, they had him running around with a Winged Eagle replica. This time around, there's no harm in letting Drew McIntyre have a month or two with the WWE title. All the more reason if Cody wins it back, say even at the Chamber, he would want to do everything in his power at WrestleMania to make sure he keeps that title this time and not have a repeat of what happened this year when he lost it to John Cena. And so that could be the story. If the idea would be to turn Cody heel, right? He's going to do everything in his power to make sure this time the title stays with him, even if that means turning to the dark side to do it. And actually, that scenario works well then if Bron Breakker does win the Rumble, to wrestle Roman, and Punk wins the Chamber to challenge Cody, then, I mean, that all kind of comes together well. Seth Rollins, if he is back in time for WrestleMania, because I know that's what he's hoping for, that he could be medically cleared in time to be on that show, where does he fit in? You could always add him to the Roman Reigns Bron Breakker match if they had no other spot for him, right? With the argument being that Seth never actually lost the title. He had to vacate it. By the way, WrestleVotes says that the current plan for the Royal Rumble is a 4-match show with 2 title matches and the 2 Royal Rumble matches. And those 2 title matches are not yet finalized, even though the show is less than 2 months away.